Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started, and if some others join us, they'll just kind of pick up. And we are going to be recording and putting this webinar out there. We'll send the link and how to access that. So if there's someone at your college or a colleague that you know of that wasn't able to join us today, they'll have access to come back and view it again. As you may or may not know, NTC, along with the other 15 colleges in our statewide system, have received a Department of Labor grant. It was a TAACCCT 3 grant that was a $26 million grant that was split between the colleges. And the projects that were going to be developed with this grant is called the Interface Project. It's just the encompassing, the whole project altogether is called Interface. So back in November, someone from your college, maybe it was a grants person or maybe the dean of a business division, maybe some IT faculty, it could have been a curriculum person, came to NTC to kind of get that whole overview. So there should be someone at your college that has the knowledge and a binder probably with the whole grant laid out in it. And the scope of the grant really was revolved around IT projects. So being that the goals of the grant are going to be to actually create and deliver some courses, Kristin and I have pulled apart all of those requirements that are laid out in the grant, and we want to share those with you today so that you're able to everyone be on the same page as far as what those requirements are going to be, and get a chance for everybody to have that same communication. So we had some objectives laid out for today. We're going to review those goals of the TAACCCT program. We would like to detail out the curriculum project requirements, of which we've actually created a WIDS file and put it into the WTCS repository that you'll be able to go in and you'll be able to access and take a look at what all these requirements are, because it's laid out right in a WIDS file. And then we'd like to provide some examples of what that end product is really going to look like. The whole set of courses that are developed using the grant funds will need to be shared publicly, and we'd like to give you that vision of what that product will look like. And then at the end, of course, we're anticipating you'll have some questions, and we're hoping we're able to answer them or at least take them down and get answers back to you. So I think we're going to go from there. With that being said, again, Bonnie and I, not knowing a lot about this grant ourselves, really did a lot of research into coming up with what a lot of this pieces of the solicitation meant. And I guess with overseeing curriculum here at the college and whatnot, we kind of took it upon ourselves to really, being a lead college, dive in and really read that solicitation and determine what each of these pieces meant. And that meant reaching out to people who have done previous TAACCCT grants, not just within our state, but other consortiums across the United States, and really diving in and talking to some other independent consultants who've dealt with grants like this before, and kind of got that vision of what everything's going to need to look like. Again, we by no means have all the answers at this time. There's still clarification on a few things that we don't have those answers to, and we are still meeting with different components and different pieces of this whole grant. So again, there may be things that you'll have questions about today that we can't answer, but by all means we'll still reach out and try and find the answer to them. So just kind of looking at those overarching goals of the TAACCCT grant, and it's really to create curriculum, not only create curriculum, but this is the part that we're focusing on, for those TAA eligible workers, for them to take courses and get some different credentials and backing, not only offering these courses within our technical college system, but outside of our technical college system. Once this whole project is complete, we actually have to turn all of this course content and curriculum over to the Department of Labor. So we're going to kind of show you what that end piece really looks like to start with today, and then kind of take you through all the different requirements that we're going through. So we're actually going to start with the end in mind and look at that packaging format, and we're going to take you to a site called the National Training and Education Resource Center. And you can see the website on the screen, and I'll actually take you out there, but it is a place where you can create a free account and go out there and kind of take a look at different courses.
And this is kind of the home page before you log in, and it actually has courses out there from previous TAACCCT grants, and the ones that we're really going to focus on are ones from a consortium kind of south by Texas, New Mexico, that area. If you ever want to go and create an account, you can do so by clicking here, but because I already have the account, I'm going to sign in. Okay, and you can go through and actually see any courses out here have been touched by a grant of some sort. These in particular here have all been grant funded through a TAACCCT grant from a previous round. I'm not specifically sure which round it was, but a previous TAACCCT grant round. I'm going to kind of go through and show you, I actually enrolled in a couple courses just to give you an idea of what they look like. And I'm going to choose a Networking Plus one to start with because it's got an IT background. What these courses really look like when it's all said and done is there's like a learner component and also an instructor component. And what that really means is that as a learner, I can go out here and look at all the content. I can actually take the course to an extent. It tracks my progress, and at the end of me taking some courses out here, I'm able to actually export and print a transcript. It shows how many courses I complete, how many modules of a complete course I've completed, things like that. Again, this is a site that we're actually having a conference call with tomorrow to get more information about, potentially putting our courses out here. This is not to say that we actually are doing that. It's just getting some more information about how this whole big picture works. Just to give you a look at the course though, if I open it up, like I said, there's like a learner component and that instructor or curriculum side to it. As a student coming in or a learner coming in, I could go through the different modules as they're set up right here. Okay? As an instructor looking to get the back end of this information, I actually have all the course files here. So basically what it is that anything we create has to be shareable and adaptable by anyone that wants to use it. A student can use this, or if someone as an instructor wants to pull some of these files in, some of this course content, they can pull this, download it, and change it to their, to adapt to what they need for their level of instruction. So as a student going in, if I click on one of these courses and one of these modules, this course was actually set up using Articulate Storyline. Not to say that you have to do that by any means, but it was just that platform that they use to bring all the content together. I'll show you another course after this that I believe just used Word documents and saved them as an HTML file, so it has a different look to it, but it's still that same content piece with some engaging content and so forth. As far as this course goes, they actually have, they use it referenced a textbook, so they have quizzes and different chapters that you have to read through a textbook, and it kind of goes through that in the course. There's an introduction, there's objectives, kind of a list of activities and what order you should do them in. Every course has a summary, assignments, and this course information piece as well. And this is kind of that last piece that ties in. We'll talk more about these details specifically as we go through. But this is showing that this was funded of a Department of Labor grant, using TAACCCT funds, things like that. And then again, it's got an attributions page too, and we'll get more into that as well. I really just wanted to give you an idea of what that class course output was, that what a student would see in this kind of class, okay, that they can navigate through and learn the content. All of this was created by the instructors so that it was Creative Commons ready, so it could be licensed for reproduction. So it's not copyrighted by any means. It wasn't pulled from a textbook, nothing. It was really made up by the instructor himself. Does that make sense? Okay. Going back then, just to show you what another course would look like really quickly, there's an essential reading course that ties into an IT focus. It's kind of like getting some of those basic skills for those taking IT courses. And what this course really looks like, and again, was just a Word document that they created and saved as an HTML file. But when you open it up, it has a completely different look to it, but again has all those same components. It's taking a really long time right now. And at the top of the page too, you can see that it has that scoring information. This course is set up so that if you imported it into your learning management system, your Blackboard or whatever you use, it automatically connects the assessments to the grading center. So they're all score ready for that purpose. But again, this course, again, another one from that same grant fund, looks a little different. Is very laid out and very, detailed. The whole course is here. It's got, full objectives, course checklist of activities. The presentation is out here. There's different little skill practice things you have to do, some alphabetizing. Again, this was a basic skills course. Well, let's see if we can get this right. Again, some interaction within the course and different activities. Okay, and this is really where we could bring in Fox Valley's digital tutors too. Like we provide, or the instructor creates the course, but then provides some little additional activities. This is a great place where we could fit in one of those digital flashcards or digital tutors as well. Okay, now on the back end of these courses, where it says the development documents and download documents, I'm actually going to open up what that looks like as well. For the networking course, the development documents actually include an attributions document, a syllabus, just like we would provide with any courses that we have through the college, an alignment matrix, and this was basically like a schedule and of the course and how it's outlined for like a 16-week course, and then there's also a submission form that they included to make sure all the components and requirements were there. We will be creating something to this extent as well for that, because we need to have a third-party reviewer of all our curriculum projects before we submit them, and this is something that that person will be doing. Okay? On the other end of that is the actual download file. So if I wanted to take this course and the content that is there and edit it to my capabilities as an instructor, I could just open these files if I had Articulate Storyline software and modify these. There's also the Word document file of them as well, and they're all, not in that one, there is in here. All the same different instructions are all in Word documents as well. So not only are they Storyline files, so if you don't have Storyline as an instructor, you still have the Word document to edit those and get all that content that they were teaching in that lesson file. Okay. I think that was, when you look at it, and what the grant talks about in part of the solicitation is that, all these courses and what we're trying to get is that maybe that very much that MOOC feeling, open-endedness, courses, and so that a student can just go in and take them at any level and, just get those skills and practices. Again, a lot of this was done with the creation of their own work. They used textbooks for references and allowed, quizzes to be done as assessments and things like that. But the content was very much created by the instructor or whoever was assigned this project, is what we kind of noticed and talked with other grant, members about. So.
Any questions about that end product? And we don't know exactly that this will be the site that we'll be hosting it on, but in general, do you have any questions out there on that, what that end product will need to be? Okay. Okay. Then I think we're going to go on and continue to talk about the curriculum project requirements and everything that Kristin and I have pulled out of the grant and laid out in this WIDS course that actually Tessa has put into the WIDS repository for us. All the courses that are developed with the grant funds will also need to be shared to the WTCS repository and be able to be accessed statewide, as well as then that end product being pushed out to the public. So The general WIDS curriculum project requirements will be that the courses will be needed to be developed for online delivery. Because we need to have everything within that course, we need to have all of that content and those learning activities. The courses will need to be developed with both those above and below the line elements. So not only just that course outcome summary, but we'll need to have those learning plans and those performance assessment tasks. We've created a standardized syllabus template that we've shared into the WIDS repository course that we put out there on the requirements, and as you saw within the courses that Kristin was sharing, they did include that syllabus as well. And just again, the WIDS file is out on the repository. There'll be some checklists and other documents that can be accessed and that you'll want to use as you're taking a look, or whoever that review person is at your college as they review the course development. There's some extra external documents that you can pull from the repository course and use to review the course as you're going through it. And then we've built scoring guides for each of these sections. So our curriculum projects are built in WIDS, and we thought that was just the easiest way to communicate everything, and being that that's our common statewide site for developing curriculum, you'd be able to access it and know where things could be found there as well. So to go with that, the scoring guide for just the general course in WIDS, we can go on to the next. I split it up into 3 screens because this one ended up being quite lengthy, but we've laid out what will be required for those above the line items. And we just went with the met, not met type of rating. In some cases, there might be a met applicable, so a course may or may not have a textbook. There may or may not be learner supplies, but for the most part, these items will, to meet the requirements of the grant, they'll need to be met in all of the criteria items that we've laid out. So this was the criteria for the above the line items. And then we laid out the criteria and everything that will be included in that syllabus template and everything that will entail. And then we've also laid out for the below the line curriculum. So what the learning plans will need to include and what those performance assessment tasks will need to include as well. So hopefully this scoring guide will help as whoever's reviewing and approving the courses. Again, they'll be approved, at the college level and with our third-party reviewer before they're shared out to the DOL. Okay. Any questions on just building the courses generally in WIDS? Yeah, okay. All right, then we'll talk next a little bit about the accessibility requirement.
Okay, and again, this is going to be laid out in WIDS as well, and we actually have attached documents. When you pull up that file in the repository, there's going to be attached documents to all these different components right out there so that you have a better understanding of what they are. We won't go into detail with them at this time. We just want you to know that they're out there.
Yep.
But basically what they mean is that, as an instructional designer with that universal design piece, is that, making that there's multiple means of representation, having, like different, multiple different media. So if there's, just that variety of things, and making sure that there's some consistency, and that things are just very much, laid out in a manner of organization. And that engagement piece as well, making sure that there's different, multiple levels of intelligence is addressed, things like that it's very much an engaging course. ADA compliance, very much we have to meet the 504 and 508 standards. If it's online, it needs to be closed caption, there needs to be alternative text if there's images, and so forth. And we have a checklist included for that. And then again, the web content just goes more into that online piece of what that means.
So within the website that we've put out on the repository that you'll be able to access, we have a learning plan where we're able to store those learning materials, which are the additional checklists and documents to give you that better background of what exactly is a universal design course designed around, or what exactly does the ADA compliance mean. So those can be accessed in the learning materials area of that correlating learning plan. For accessibility, here would be the 3 big items that we're looking for again: universal design, ADA compliant, and web content accessibility. And we would need to be met for the most part, if it's applicable. So.
Okay, digital, or the technical standards for digital assets, and what this really means is that any format that we submit, and again, there's going to be attachments for all of these in goods as well, anything that we attach needs to be an editable document. So it needs to be, for document purposes, it needs to be like a Microsoft Office document or a PowerPoint. It can't be a PDF. Things need to be able to be adaptable and editable. Images, they need to be shared files, video clips, things like that, that can be shared out in common format like a Flash or Adobe Photoshop file, a JPEG. Video files, very much like an MP4 or something that is opened universally. And same with audio files, like an MP3, something that's a common file. As far as the packaging, we kind of went over that with the demonstration of that Enter site. Everything needs to have, all the courses need to be able to be deployed to a learning management system. So that scoring piece or something along those lines needs to be included so that when the course is imported into a learning management system, again, all those assessments are linked to the Grade Center. So, and that's something that we do very much so now, and I know that's why they use the Articulate software for some of those courses, because there's that scoring packaging piece already included in that for any kind of interactive quizzing and pieces like that. When the metadata tags, what that basically is, and I can take you back out to Enter really quick, is if I open up this course, it's basically tagging and identifying. It's these words down here: security, networking. It's identifying what that product is and what it's relating to. So it's kind of like cataloging it to an extent. That's what the metadata tagging really is. And there's a handout specifically in regards to that attached to the WITS file as well.
Okay, so the scoring guide that we've come up with that the reviewer will be able to use to measure the course for compliance will be really taking a look at the format for digital assets and whether or not that's met or not met. Again, the packaging format, that end product will still be, we're still exploring what our options are, and we need to determine what that end product will be, but we'll certainly be communicating that as soon as we come up with a decision, or the grant people come up with a decision from that on our end. And then the metadata for describing the resource, those one-word description tags need to be included. And like Kristin said, there is a resource within the learning plan of technical standards for digital assets that talks a little bit more about that and gives some examples that could be used, some standard keywords for data tags. Any questions on the technical standards for digital assets piece? Okay, move on. That last area of the WITS file that we sent over to you, that you can pull from the repository, the last PET really addresses that intellectual property rights, mainly that Creative Commons piece. This was probably the hardest for us to grasp and wrap our heads around. There's different versions, and it's ever-changing. Part of the grant, it was that we will be following the 3.0 version license. And what that basically means is that it's shareable, adaptable, and there's an attribution piece. The shareable kind of goes back to this output, and that we're putting this out there with the use that anyone can use it, not just students or learners in our own technical college system, but that it's going to a bigger, environment, and that's basically covers that. The adaptable piece is kind of that instructor side we talked about in that course, where we could download those lesson files or those learning files, learning plans in our case, and change them to meet the needs of us, teaching our learners, or how it would fit with our own college if we needed those files. And then that attribution piece is really kind of like citing, almost like a bibliographic list of all the pieces in a course that were created by your instructor, whoever's going to be developing the curriculum. They put a list of
different resources that they created on their own. So for instance, I think I have that someplace in a file, what that really looks like. Let's go to here's the attributions. It's like a Word document, and it's just basically laying out all the different pieces that they created that they can license as Creative Commons for that anyone can use. So anything like if they reference a textbook, they can't claim that as an attribution. They can't license it as their own. I mean, it's basically being honest and being held accountable. So this is basically a sample of that file saying, these are the different pieces. And this is the instructor, that Louis Scaife from Collin County Community College, and he created that image, or he created that text, and this is just his list of all the pieces that are licensed Creative Commons. With that being said as well, in the course itself, and I'll bring you back to that example in the course, there's that disclaimer as well as that licensing logo that needs to be on all of our course content. I'll just show you really quick what that looks like. And it was under this course information piece. It has this logo down here, that Creative Commons license logo, and this little statement, this work is licensed under Creative Commons, which means that anyone can go in and modify it or adapt it to what they want. And that disclaimer paragraph is also on here, and this is part of the WITS file as well, saying that this document is funded by the Department of Labor. That paragraph is also in the WITS file and needs to be on everything that we create coming out of this grant too. Anything that basically touches grant dollars needs to have this logo, that disclaimer, and that Creative Commons, licensing logo piece on it. So the scoring guide for that then looks like this, basically laying out everything we kind of just talked about. The Creative Commons piece, that it's shareable, what that really means, the adaptable piece, and what that attribution piece really looks like. Okay? And again, this is something that we feel like we don't even have a 100% handle on at this time, but we're like 90% there. Every day we're kind of learning more as we go along and what all these different pieces mean. So again, if you feel like you're lost right now, I don't blame you, because it took us a long time to wrap our own heads around this as well.
And that licensing piece will be something that's done not at an individual college, but as the lead college or whoever that third-party outside person is going to be, they're going to be the ones that are making sure that it's all licensed. So that's not something that you're going to have to go out and get the license and do individually, but just to have that awareness that everything that is created and shared will need to be all original so that it's able to be, licensed, so it's copyright-free and all that. One of the items that was in the grant solicitation talked about just that in today's world of advanced educational technology and the internet, simply delivering a program online is no longer considered innovative. So with the whole, spirit of what these projects probably should entail is really stepping out of how an online course looked 5 years ago and bringing in that new and emergent technology and really being innovative as far as whatever those activities or technology-enabled options are going to be for the learners. Personalizing everything and having that virtual instruction, educational gaming, the digital tutors that Fox Valley Tech is going to be involved with helping to create, and just, having that whole really cutting-edge type of technology around these IT courses, which I really anticipate your IT people will embrace. I really do. Yeah. And I guess as far as our presentation goes, I think we're at the point where we're ready to just, you can go to the next slide. We want to start taking some questions. So we're anxious to hear what you're thinking or what you're wondering about.
Are you still there? I mean, that's
everybody's still there. We didn't put you all to sleep, did we?
Anybody? Nobody's there.
We're here.
Oh, yay! Okay, well, you're too quiet. It makes us nervous.
I And we know it was a lot to absorb. It's been a lot for us to absorb as well. We've really been delved into this since about the middle of October. The grant was awarded at the beginning of October, and then we had the whole federal shutdown there for a little bit, so we really didn't know how we were going to move forward. Then that went away, and so it's been a big part of our world for a good 3.5 months or more now. And for you, just maybe some of you hearing this the first time, it's a lot to take in and try to absorb. And that's really why we felt creating the resource that you're able to access in the WTCS repository will be helpful for you to go back and look over everything. Kristin and I took a lot of time to pull apart the pieces that really refer to just this curriculum development and try to lay it out in a way that'll be understandable. We said we wish we would have had a Creative Commons for Dummies and a attribution for dummies as we were trying to think of this, and we did a lot of researching, and it wasn't always easy to find the answers for what we were looking for, but we did gather a lot of knowledge in the process. So
we did a lot of research. We called a lot of people and got responses like, how did you find me? So it's been a matter of but it's been great help that we've gotten, again, from people who have previously done these grants, so that we got some solid answers as to how some things work, because the grant doesn't necessarily lay things out in black and white for us to interpret. So we really tried our best to interpret this for everyone else, and we hope we did a half-clear job, I guess. Really. So, are there questions?
Tessa, are you still out there?
I am.
Would you like to speak a little bit to as far as how colleges will be able to access that course out that we've created out on the repository?
That sounds just fine. Would you like to be the driver?
Sure.
So your whiz page?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, everybody. Hello, I'm Tessa Campbell from WID, and I'm one of the repository site administrators, just like many of you may be. WID's administrators at your college. And we've set up a place for the sharing of all this information that they were speaking of in the WTCS repository. And all of you have access to the repository through your WID site. And so what you'll do is, as you can see on the screen, NTC has a link on their homepage. So when you log into your homepage, so this is Kristin, she'll log in as normal, she'll click on that link. Automatically that places her into the repository as a guest. As you see, it will come into a new tab. Everybody has that link on all WTCS WID sites. So you can just click on it and it'll take you right in. You do not need another login. Now, to access this TAACCCT grant information, we did just put it in as Act 3 grant as the course number. So you can go ahead and type in TAACCCT, and that will come right up as TAACCCT. If you forget how to spell it or something, it's an NTC shared product, so NTC is another way that you could quickly just get that on the list. Clicking on the title takes you right into the project, and they set it up actually in a course type layout as far as what's involved in what you need to do in your grant information. But kind of the quick way to access some of that information is you can certainly check out the learning plans and things. But we've also set up the documents feature, and if you would just take a look to the right, there's documents tab for all courses and programs. In the shared documents for this project, which is on the left menu, so they have set this up. They're adding documents, and we'll probably add things like that they've talked about today. And they're sharing them with everybody. So everybody can access these same documents. And in the, I think she just clicked on the...
Too fast? Sorry.
The Act 3 your grant project document. That is just it's a document that is the whole course design. So it has kind of a capture in a Word document of everything that has been put into the curriculum file. You can click on any one of those documents and it'll bring it up in the appropriate application, be it Word or PDF files. And then you can save it or share it or print it or whatever you want to do with it. If you go back into the documents area, okay, and go up one folder level, there's a little up arrow that you can kind of back out of your folders. Automatically, when a course is developed, and she had, I think both of the ladies had referenced that in the learning plans and PTs, there were documents that they've added. It's an automatic thing in a WID system. When they build a learning plan and add a material, those are automatically collected into those yellow folders that are the course learning materials. So in that same shared folder, you can quickly access all of the different learning plan groups for materials. So I know when they were presenting, they talked about the ADA compliance handout. All of those are right there in that same foldering structure. So you can go ahead and peek there as well to get the actual materials. Not to get any kind of background or description on what they are or how you're using them. Of course, that would be tucked within the learning plans where that material was placed. The repository, once you finish your work on your project in your website, or if you're just starting something new in our building curriculum, you can always contact me, Tessa Campbell, at Link, and I can help set you up, either work directly, maybe collaboratively with people from multiple colleges, or by yourself, to work on developing a project in the repository, and I can get you set up so you can actually be a developer and do work out there. And also, if you have a project that needs to be shared to the repository that's finished, you can easily do the with share feature too, and set that up for you. And answer any kind of questions that you might have as you're out there in the repository. You can always contact me. I'm happy to help with any of that kind of stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tessa. And this repository course really is hot off the press. There are a couple items that we'd like to put in there yet as far as resources. So in our conversation we're going to be having tomorrow on the Enter site, and we also have another presentation we're giving on Friday. By all means, go out and take a look at things, but if you can just hold off until maybe next week, early next week, maybe Monday or Tuesday, to actually do some print-offs if you're going to, or really go with this is what it's going to be. We just like to be able to go in and take a look and make sure that there's nothing that we need to tweak or add. Just that it is actually right, Tessa, hot off the press. She just got it this morning and put it out there for us, so thank you so much for doing that. Yeah, and it's been ever evolving as we've been learning more and more, so we anticipate this will be up to date as soon as we find something out that needs to be updated in it, so yeah. Any other questions then? We'll definitely send out an email to everyone that was invited to the webinar today as far as what the link will be to access the webinar, and we can certainly, if there's anything that Tessa would like, we could share as well as getting into the repository or that whole aspect of it. Anything else? So we look forward to continuing to collaborate with you on this whole interface project, and by all means, as you're working with your faculty or deans or grant people at your college and you have something that you're wondering about, don't hesitate. We've included our email contact here. Don't hesitate to shoot us an email or give us a call, and we'd be more than happy to go through anything with you and try to help you find the answers that you're looking for.
Bonnie?
Yeah?
Hi, this is Kathy Spada.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi, I just want to thank you for this awesome presentation, and I think the people on the web conference will agree that we have the best curriculum team here at NTC. Not to put down anybody else, but I think they've really rolled up their sleeves here and have dived into something really unknown, and it is still quite a moving target. So I just want to thank you publicly for all your hard work on this.
Thank you,
I think the material you presented today is something perhaps that we could also share with the project leads and the grant writers and the other consortium interface contacts at some point in the future. So thank you again for all your hard work on this. I'm relying on them as well. I'm not a curriculum expert, so I appreciate all of their guidance with this. So thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy. Okay, well, thank you for joining us today, and again, we look forward to our continued collaboration on this whole interface project.